What if manifestation has been misunderstood from the beginning? What if you are not actually creating reality but tuning into it? That sounds like a small difference. It isn't. It changes everything. Because most people think of reality creation like this. That's me here, that's the life I want over there, and somehow through enough effort, enough visualization, enough affirmations, enough force, I have to make the reality appear. But what if that model is already flawed? What if reality does not need to be created first? Because in a deeper sense, it already exists. Think about it. Television. A TV does not create the program it wants to watch. It doesn't manufacture the show. It doesn't fight reality until the right image appears. The broadcast is already there. The only thing that the TV has to do is to tune into the right channel. And maybe your life works the same way. Maybe the reality you want is not missing. Maybe it already exists as a potential experience. And what determines whether you can perceive it, live it, and step into it is the channel you have tuned into, which is your state, your beliefs, your emotions, your identity. Because you do not necessarily get what you want, you get what you are. That's the part people don't want to hear. We love this idea that desire alone should be enough to get things into our life. That if we want something badly enough, life should hand it to us. But desire is not the deepest force. Identity is. Your vibration, the state you consistently live in, is shaped by what you believe to be true. What you believe shapes what you feel, and what you feel shapes how you act, and all that is rooted in something even deeper. Who you think you are. This is your real channel. This is what reality reflects. And this is why so many people fail at manifestation, because they try to make something happen out there without becoming the kind of person who corresponds to it in here. They try to force the screen to change without changing the signal. And when it doesn't work, they either blame the method, blame themselves, or double their effort. But effort is not the answer if the frequency is unchanged. If you were watching a program you hated on a TV, you wouldn't start punching the screen. You wouldn't drive to the broadcasting station and start threatening the employees. You would do something much simpler. You would change the channel. This is how reality change actually works. Not through struggle, but through alignment. And this leads to one of the most important lines in this entire conversation. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. If you say, I want success, that sounds powerful, but notice what it implies. It implies that success is not here. It implies separation. It implies distance between you and the reality. Even I am successful is closer, but still for many people it feels like a statement that they're trying to convince themselves of. Real alignment is even deeper than affirmation. It's when the identity becomes so natural, so familiar, that it feels like breathing. You do not walk around all day saying, I'm breathing. Why? Because breathing is already natural to you, already embodied inside of yourself, already normal to everyone, right? That is the level your desired identity has to reach. Not forced, performed, or acted out, but embodied. And that brings us to something huge. There are levels to reality change, 5 of them to be precise, and most people only work on the most superficial one. Level 1 is behavior, your actions, your habits, your visible choices. That matters, of course, but behavior is the outermost layer. And if you try to change your life only through your action, while the deeper layer remains untouched, the results rarely last, because behavior is downstream. Under behavior is emotion, your feelings, your emotional baseline, the recurring states that you live in every day. Your emotions matter because they are signals. They tell you something about what is happening deeper inside. Emotions are also not the root, because beneath emotions we have our beliefs, thoughts you repeat, assumptions you hold, and stories that you accept true about yourself. Beliefs shape emotions, and emotions shape behavior. Change a belief and often entire emotional patterns begin to shift with it. But something deeper than even ordinary belief are your core beliefs, your reality model, the lens through which you interpret life itself. These are not just passing thoughts. These are the invisible blueprints, the assumptions so deep that you do not even see them as beliefs anymore. You see them as reality. That's what makes them powerful. A core belief is like a pair of glasses you forgot you were wearing. Everything you see passes through it. And over time, hundreds of smaller beliefs, emotional reactions, and behaviors build themselves around a single hidden template. This is why some patterns repeat across multiple areas of life. The same struggle appears in your relationships, your career, your self-worth, your health. Those are just different settings, but same pattern. And why? Because the surface details changed, but the blueprint did not. And if you can find that blueprint, if you can change that core belief, you can sometimes create massive changes very quickly. Because you are no longer trimming branches, you are changing the root. But even deeper than your core beliefs is your identity. This is the 5th level. the deepest one. Identity is your definition of self, who you are, who you identify yourself as a person, who you believe you are allowed to be, the roles you live inside, the characters you keep playing in your life. And identity is powerful because once identity changes, everything under it begins to reorganize. So if you want real change, the deepest path is not just changing thoughts, not just changing feelings, not just changing your actions. It is becoming a different version of yourself. This is why, from this perspective, manifestation is not really about manifestation at all. It is about synchronization. It is about alignment. You're not pulling a future into existence. You're just tuning yourself to the version of reality that already matches that version of you. This is radically different way of looking at life, because now the question is no longer how do I make reality give me what I want. Now the question becomes, who would I be if this reality were already true?